asking? ¿Cómo te gusta viajar? What's it asking? ¿Cómo te gusta viajar? Take a guess. What was te gusta? Clase, what was te gusta?
How do you like to travel?
Very good. How do you like to travel? All right. So again, we have to go to our notes from last class, right? If you took any, if not, they might look in Canvas. Tren, metro. Anybody remember how else we had an avion? We said by airplane. Do y'all remember? So what we're going to do to warm up this morning, I'm going to put a link in the chat. It's going to help us answer the question. Okay. So go ahead and click on that. Let's see what you remember from last week. Okay. All right, you guys, click on the link, por favor. Let's see what we remember. Jojo, did you leave us? Arshad, go ahead and click on the link, por favor. Okay, Brooklyn, is it opening for you? All right, good job. Okay, it's a simple drag and drop, right, you guys? We're going to try and label these. And again, it's just a warm up, see what we remember, you know, kind of look for cognates and things like that. Okay. Now I'll give you a few minutes and then make sure that you submit, and then we'll kind of check our answers. Muy bien, Arshad. Exactly. Start with the ones you know. Muy bien, Jojo. So gotta be careful, Brooke. So trains don't travel underground, right? There you go. All right, Arshad. Muy bien. That one up at the top left, Arshad. Look at the picture again. Muy bien, Joe Marion. Go ahead and submit. You did. Muy bien. Perfecto. Okay, Brooke. Perfecto. Go ahead and submit that. Muy bien. Perfecto, Arshad. Good job. You guys did a great job. So we had el autobús, el barco, ir a pie, right? To go on foot. And so remember, if we're going to use that one in a sentence, we have to conjugate ir, right? So I go on foot, voy a pie, right? You go on foot, vas a pie. We go on foot, vamos a pie, right? Then we had the subway, el metro, el tren, the train, la estación, ir de excursión, go camping or hiking. And again, that one too, we have to conjugate ir, el avión y el coche, right? Our car. Sometimes carro, right? That's our Spanglish word is carro. Okay, so back to the question up above my head. ¿Cómo te gusta viajar? How would we answer that question? You can unmute or you can just pop it in the chat. How would you say, I like to travel, by bus, right? Remember that word en. We practiced that last week. ¿Cómo te gusta viajar? Either unmute or pop your answer in the chat. So Marian, what do you say? Brooke, ¿qué piensas? ¿Cómo te gusta? What has to change in order to answer this question, you guys? The te has to become what? Okay. How do we say I like? Do you remember that, Brooke? It was one of those really irregular verbs. How do we say I like? Y'all don't remember? How do we say I like? No. The te becomes what? To say me, I like. How do we do that? Remember that gustar and encantar were the two that were really bad. I mean, really irregular. So check the chat, you guys. Me gusta, right? Me gusta la pizza. Me gusta el helado. Me gusta jugar al videojuegos, whatever, right? Me gusta, I like. So how would we say, I like to travel by train, by plane, or whatever? Me gusta, ¿cómo te gusta viajar? How do we do that? How would we say I like to travel by train? I like to travel by plane. How do we do that? Come on, y'all, help me. Or tell me what you're stuck on. Very good, Brooklyn. So if we say by car, for example, we don't need the word the, so we wouldn't need the L, right? Because we wouldn't say I like to travel by the car. We just need to say I travel by car, right? So me gusta viajar en coche. Okay, I like to travel by car, right? Okay, Jo Marion, give it a try. Arshad. Yeah. ¿Cómo te gusta viajar? Again, you can feel free to unmute. No, I prefer that y'all do. But Arshad, ¿cómo te gusta viajar? Just pop in any answer, you guys, because we're going to start our next section today. So we need to get moving. You going to give it a try, Jojo? Okay. Arshad, you're going to give it a try? ¿Cómo te gusta viajar? Okay. Yes. So me gusta, if we said me gusta el tren, what we're saying is I like the train. Okay. What we need to say is I like to travel by train. So me gusta viajar en, and then tren, coche, whatever, right? Me gusta viajar en coche or en tren, whatever, whichever. Okay. All right. We need to remember that, you guys. Okay. Bueno, I am going to pop us out of that. And let me get my slides pulled back up here, or my scenario pulled up here. Okay, muy bien. So, ¿qué vamos a hacer? What are we going to do? Clase. Okay. All right. I need to know if y'all can see my background. Okay. Jojo, can you see my background? Arshad? All right. So, clase, hoy es lunes, el 9 de febrero. Vamos a practicar con el pretérito de los verbos en AR. So, here's your job today. Remember the other day, I asked you all to try to have the larger sticky notes or some kind of notepad that you can attach to your computer or attach to your desk. So now would be the time that you need this, or you need whatever you're going to use. Okay. Right. Arshad, Joe Marion, trust me, you are going to want this. We're going to make ourselves a little cheat sheet. Okay. So you want to have something that you can tape to your computer or tape to your desk or wherever you are, whatever your workstation is. Okay. So once again, in Spanish 1, we practiced regular old present tense, right? We learned about the 3 kinds of verbs, AR, ER, and IR. We learned, you guys, that we need to find the root or the stem. How do we do that? So we have the original verb. Let's just say like viajar, right? What kind of verb is viajar? Is it an AR verb, ER, or an IR verb? Who can tell me real quick? Unmute, it goes faster, por favor. The verb viajar, is it an AR verb, an ER verb, or an IR verb?
AR verb.
It's an AR verb. So if we want to use it in a sentence, we need to find that root or the stem. Y'all remember that? So how do we do that? How do we find the root of the stem? We know this. Go ahead and unmute. How would we find the root or the stem of the verb viajar? It's an AR verb. So what do we get rid of? The AR. Muy bien, Jo Marion. Okay. Likewise, if it was a regular ER verb or a regular IR verb, we would get rid of the ER, we would get rid of the IR to find the root or the stem, right, you guys? And then if we want to use it in a sentence, we have to put the correct ending in, right? All right. So we know that. We learned that all last year. We practiced it till we were green in the face, right? And we also learned that the regular old present tense that we learned was when we talk about things in general, right? Like I play video games, juego a videojuegos, right? I play video games. This is something that I do generally speaking, right? Then we learned this year, right? You guys, you need to follow along with me because otherwise this thing will make sense. Then we learned something that I'm going to do in the near future. I'm not doing it right now. I have plans to do it. And that was our near future. And we had like a little formula. We had a form of ir, right, to go, plus a, plus the infinitive of a verb, meaning the original form of the verb. So if I wanted to say, I'm going to play tennis, right? I would say voy a jugar in the original form al tenis, right? I'm going to play tennis. I'm not doing it right now. I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to do it later this afternoon, whenever. Okay. So then we learned that. So that's like the near future, something I'm planning on doing. The next thing that we learned was what they call the present progressive. Remember, we talked about gerunds and participles and all that nonsense, right? So who remembers, how do we make that? Because that's the one where we say, I am in the process of doing it, right? I'm doing it right now. How did we do that? What did we need to say? If I say, for example, estoy hablando, estoy hablando. What is that, you guys? What is that? Estoy hablando. That is something that I'm doing right this minute. Right? Estoy, I am. Hablando, talking. Okay? So that present progressive, that ANDO or ENDO ending or IENDO, those are like the ING of Spanish, right? Talking, running, right? That ING ending. Estoy caminando, I'm walking, right? Estoy escribiendo, I'm writing. Okay, those are all things that I am currently doing. And I tried to explain that that is the, how most people talk, because that's how we even speak in English, right? So we've learned about general speak. We learned about near future, voy a hablar, I'm going to talk. Then we did, I'm currently talking, estoy hablando. Now it's time, you guys, for the past, something I have already done. Okay. Now, what we call that in Spanish is the preterite. I'll put it in the chat because you're going to see it. Okay. I'm just going to call it past tense. So check out the chat. You need to know the word just so that we all understand what we're talking about in class. Okay. It's the past tense. It's when we want to say that I already did it. If I'm nagging you guys about, did you do such and such an assignment, and you did, I already did it, right? I already did it. Past tense, it's done. Okay. And completed. So the difficulty here, okay, is that those verb endings that we learned, right? We take off the AR or the ER or the IR to find the root of the stem, and then we put our endings in. The problem is in preterite, it's not really a problem, but we have to kind of rewire our brain because it's like the opposite. It's a hodgepodge of everything we've already learned, right? So it's like relearning, okay? So on your notepad or someplace on a piece of paper that you're going to keep near you, we're going to make our cheat sheet. Okay. And if you can see behind me, these are the past tense, the preterite tense, when we've already done something, of regular AR verbs like viajar or hablar. So we would get rid of the AR and we would attach these endings. Okay. And here in a minute, as soon as we get into this, I am going to be asking you some questions about what do you observe? Okay. About what you observe, because we're going to need to be really observant in order to help us remember these. Okay. So today we're only going to focus on the AR verb endings. Okay. We've got to figure out how they're pronounced and all of those things. All right. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. So strap yourselves in. If you are a note taker, now would be the time to take yourself some notes. Okay. All right. I'm going to share my screen. And I need for you all to study this for just a minute. Okay. Can y'all see that? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, it's large enough. Okay. So our endings are going to be E with the accent mark. Aste o. So aste o. Amos and Aaron. Okay. Remember, singulars are always on the left, plurals are always on the right. Okay. And yo compré. So our ending for past tense, regular AR verbs is just going to be this E with the accent mark. Tú haste. Usted, él, and ella, O with the accent mark. Amos for nosotros. I love nosotros because it never changes. Ellos, ellas, and ustedes. Aaron. Aaron. Okay. Now, let's look at it. Other than the accent marks, because we know in all of the endings that we've done before, we didn't have to worry about accent marks, right? But what do you notice is different, and what do you notice is the same? I'm gonna stop sharing for just a second. I want y'all to think about that 1 minute, and I'm gonna pull something up here. Give me 1 second. Okay. Come on, computer. Okay. If it would stop jumping, we'd be good. All right. All right. I would like for you guys to take a look at this. Okay. So what you're seeing here are regular AR verbs in the present tense, right? It says over here in the corner, present tense. And, that's the one where we talk about things in general. Like I talk to my friends all the time, like generally speaking, hablo, right? And our endings were O, ASA, amos, and on. So look at this. O with the yo, right? Hablas with the tú. Habla. O-A-S-A. Amos and on. But what is it? How is it different, you guys? In the past tense, what can we note? What can we see that's different or the same? What observations can we make? You can unmute or pop them in the chat. What observations can we make? Arshad, what do you see that's different? What do you see that's the same? Come on, you guys. I need you thinking. I can't just feed you the answer. I need you all to think this morning. Jamarian? Brooke? If our present tense endings are O, ASA, amos, and on, that's present tense. What can we notice that's similar or different? What do we see here in terms of pattern? Okay. Our regular AR verb endings that I just had up on the screen, when we're using present tense, right, what have always been O, ASA, amos, and on. But now what we're looking at is the past tense, the preterite tense. Okay. And our endings are E with the accent, aste, O with an accent, amos, and aron. So are there anything here? Is there anything here that is similar or anything here that is really, really different that you can observe other than the accent marks? Arshad, what do you say? Well, you guys, I can't do the thinking for you. I need you to make a leap, even if it's wrong. I don't care, just a leap of some sort. What do you see or don't see? Okay, very good, Brooke. Anybody else? Yes? Anything else? But what specifically, Joe Marion? Yes, they all have the same root. Okay, so let's look. Let me ask you this. Is the nosotros any different in present tense and preterite tense, or are they the same? Okay, so the nosotros form is the same. Yay, that's a victory for us. We don't have to remember that. Compramos is compramos. Okay, so it's going to be by context to know whether or not we're talking about something in the past versus something in general. Okay. All right, let's look at the yo form. In our present tense, it's compró with an O. Okay. And this is supposed to be an AR verb. Isn't that right, you guys? How come we've got this thing with an E? Because remember, when we were doing present tense, the only things that ended in an E were if it was an ER or an IR verb. Okay. So that's something different. We have an E. The other thing that's different, you guys, is that the E is in the yo form, not the L and ella form. Okay. And so hear me out here, if it's compro in English, I mean, in present tense, in the yo form, but looky here, in the past tense, the O is not the yo form, it is the L and ella form. So instead of this O being up here, like it's been for everything else, escribo, right? Tengo, right? Everything that we've done so far ever, the yo form is the one that ends in an O, right? Here, it's going to end, the L and ella and instead form is going to end in the O, right? And then all of a sudden we have this E here. So these are major like red flags for us. This is a thing where the patterns now are flip-flopped. The same patterns that we've always been learning do not fly with past tense. Okay, that is my point. Okay, now let's just look at tú for a minute. Okay, we had a second ago a question, ¿Cómo te gusta viajar? Right? And I said, we translate as, how do you like to travel? How do you? And so we know that this te, right, is referring to you. I'm asking you the question. And then when we answered it, the te became me, right? Me gusta. So look at what they've done here. Okay, they're borrowing. They're borrowing and shuffling, and that's what makes this complicated. So in regular present tense, it's O-A-S-A, amos and an. Well, look, it's the same thing here. You still have the compras, but since we're talking to you, we're saying you, they took this word and tacked it on to the end. Do you see this, you guys? Yes or no? So we have to relearn. We have to relearn our patterns when we're using past tense. So I bought, yo compré. You bought, tú compraste. He or she bought, compró. And our spelling, our pronunciation changes because of that accent mark. Usted compró. Nosotros compramos. Yay. Okay. Ellos and ellas compraron. Ustedes compraron. Okay. So, with an accent. Haste o amos aron. Haste o amos aron. Okay. So, todos los días viajamos en tren. In the past tense. En marzo viajamos en autobús. In March, we traveled by bus. So, if for the nosotros form, it's just all about context. Okay. All right. Questions. So present tense, yo compro una blusa. I buy a blouse. I buy a blouse. Whenever I go shopping, I buy a blouse. Yo compro una blusa. I bought a shirt. Yo compré una camisa. Okay. Generally speaking, in the present tense, yo viajo en barco. Generally speaking, I travel by boat. Yo viajé. I traveled by subway. Yo viajé. Viajé. Okay. All right. So give me a thumbs up if you have yourself your sticky note, because we're going to practice. I'm going to put some practice slides up and you're going to need to refer to your sticky note. Okay. Make sure you have your sticky note. So give me a thumbs up when you're ready to go. You need to keep that sticky note until May, until we're done. Okay. All right. Jamarian, are you ready? Okay, Arshad is ready. Jamarian, are you ready? Okay. You have it written down? Brooklyn? Okay. Brooklyn, you about ready? Give me a thumbs up when you're good to go. Remember, you don't have to worry about vosotros. And really, we don't have to worry about nosotros. It's the same, right? So it's these other things. Compré, haste, o, amos, and aron. Okay, again, you guys, make sure that you have a sticky note or some kind of piece of paper that you can tape to your desk or something. Okay, you about ready, Brooke? Okay, muy bien. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing for just a second. Too much sun in my eyeballs. Okay. We're going to take this slow. You all feel free to unmute, okay? Pop your answers in the chat. Remember, this is all about practice. So who cares if we make mistakes? We need to make mistakes. That's how we learn, okay? All right, so technically speaking, this is el pretérito pasado, right? The past tense. I already did a completed action, something I've already done, okay? Okay, you do not have to write these down. This will all be in Canvas, okay? This is some of these we've already seen. So if we're talking about the past tense, then we need to be able to say like yesterday, okay? So our word for yesterday, and again, this is primarily for pronunciation, right, you guys? Our word for yesterday, ayer. Ayer is our yesterday, okay? Ayer. Oops. Last night, anoche. Anoche, last night. Last month, el mes pasado. Last week, la semana pasada. Last year, el año pasado. If we wanted to say last Monday, last Thursday, last Friday, last Saturday, whatever, you just put the day of the week, el lunes pasado, right? El lunes pasado. So you can see pasada, pasado, ayer, and anoche. Day before yesterday, you can say ante ayer, because if yesterday was ayer, ante ayer, the day before yesterday. The other day, in the past, right? The other day, I went to the store and they didn't have any bread, right? El otro día, the other day. If I want to say like, oh, it's like 2 weeks ago, I went to the store and there wasn't any bread, we could say hace, and then whatever amount of time. So hace 2 semanas, 2 weeks ago, right? Hace un mes, it's been a month ago. We can add any amount of time we wanted, right? 5 minutes ago, whatever we wanted. Okay, something, as long as we're talking about the past. And then like in March or in 2019, you can just say en marzo, en 2019, you know, whatever, in the past. So you're going to have all of these words in the resource library and in your module for you to access. Okay, so don't sweat them too terribly much, but you need to know what they mean if you see them, okay, or how to use them in a sentence. Okay, so again, we are going to look at this verb tomar, meaning to take or to drink. Just as with present tense verbs, we always start with the stem, right, Jamarian? So we get rid of the AR. So for tomar, that's going to give us TOM. And then our preterite endings, right? You guys, are past tense endings. Haste, o, amos, and aron. You have to have the accent marks. You have to have the accent marks. All right, because then it's something else and it changes the pronunciation. So you have to have the accent marks. Tomé, tomo. Okay. I drank. You drank. Tú tomaste. Él tomó. He drank. Nosotros tomamos. We drank. They drank. Ellas tomaron. Tomé, tomaste, tomó, tomamos, tomaron. Okay. We have to have the accent mark on tomó because we're back to what I was trying to explain before. Okay. So if you guys take a look down here. In present tense, right, you guys? In present tense, if it's I take, my endings are OASA, almost and on, in present tense. So yo tomo una Coca-Cola, right? I'm drinking a Coca-Cola, or I drink a Coca-Cola. Yo tomo, right? But because in this past tense, the O ending is talking about he or she, right? You have to have the accent mark to say él tomó. He drank. Do y'all see what I need to know that y'all understand the difference here. Okay? Because otherwise, I could devise some other like practices. Because look here, this is yo tomo, I drink, Jomarian, right? But this one is going to be él, ella, or usted tomó with the accent mark. So this is not I drank, this is he drank or she drank. It's a whole different thing. We're talking about totally different people. So that accent mark, you guys, is super absolutely required, because otherwise we don't know what tense, and we don't know if we're saying I or if we're saying he or she or you in a formal sense. So those accent marks are critical. Okay. Jamarian, are you with me? Arshad, you with me? Brooke? Yes. Okay. And I don't mean to be like a pain about it, but honestly, right? That's what we have to be aware of. Otherwise, it's going to be wrong. Okay. And that's why I'm just trying to make it, I'm trying to hit it with the hammer. Okay. So that y'all realize what would be correct. Okay. All right. So if you have your little sticky notes, your sticky note in front of you, we're going to try to do all of these, and we're going to try to translate them as well. Okay. So be aware. And let's look at the first one here. Juan y Cesar. So we're saying they, right? You guys, we're talking about Juan and Caesar. Finish their work very well. Finish. Okay, so we're going to take this step by step. Jomarian, question. Jojo, how do I find the root or the stem of this thing here? Just unmute, it's easier. How do I find the root or the stem of this verb? Yes, I'm going to get rid of this. Okay. All right. Now remember, we're doing preterite. We're doing past tense. So here we're talking about they. Is this singular or plural, y'all? Tell me S or P in the chat. Juan y Cesar, singular or plural? Okay, Brooklyn? Juan y Cesar, S or P in the chat, Arshad? Okay, which means, right, we're going to do this right-hand side of the column, right? It's either going to be amos or it's going to be Aaron. Okay, so make your choice and either pop it in the chat or you can unmute. How do we fill in the blank? Good, Brooklyn. Arshad, I need to hear from you. Perfect, Jomarian. Arshad. Come on, Arshad. All right, terminaron. So if we're translating this, Juan y Cesar finished their work very well. Finished, right? ED, past tense. Okay? Questions? All right. Number 2 here. Yo a tu casa ayer. Our verb is llamar. What do I do? Either unmute or pop your answer in the chat. Arshad, I need you to participate, please. the second one. I know they're not numbered properly, right? So we're just going to go down the list. We're on the second one. Yo. Okay. Very good, Brooklyn. Very good, Arshad. Joe. Very good. Muy bien. So, llamé. Yo llamé a tu casa ayer. Anybody want to try to translate this one? Yo llamé a tu casa ayer. You can unmute if you want to give it a try. Llamé. Yo llamé a tu casa. What's a casa? House. What is llamar? Llamar? What I say? Llamar is what? Ring, ring, ring. What is llamar? Yes. It's also this. What is llamar? Yes. And what's the verb? If I pick up this phone and what do? I dial the numbers and I'm doing what? Yes, but we know it's not hablar. It's calling. We're making a call, right? Calling. This is an old-fashioned phone, right? Calling. So I called your house yesterday. I called your house yesterday. Okay. All right. Let's try this third one right here. El mes pasado. Tú something, ayudar a tu madre. So how would we fill in the blank? And we're on this one. This one here. Very good, Joe Marion. Try again, Brooke. Very good. Arshad, I haven't heard from you yet. Try this one. Very good. All right. So mes is what? What is this word, you guys? Do you remember? El mes es febrero. Febrero, right, clase? Febrero. So what is mes? What is mes? El mes es febrero, right? Isn't that what I have on my background? Febrero. What is febrero? ¿Qué es febrero? What does this word mean? What is febrero? Hoy es lunes, el 9 de febrero. What is febrero in I tell you this every day. What is febrero? February. So February is an example of a month, right? So el mes pasado, last month. That's how we would translate that. Okay. Who remembers what ayudar is? Anybody? From last year, I think. What is ayudar? Anyone? Ayudar? Anybody else? Help. It's to help. So how would I translate this? Last month, you what? Very good. Last month, you helped your mother. See, we have to get used to the fact that we're talking about the past tense, right? And so, yes, our answer, you guys, you were correct. Ayudaste. El mes pasado, tú ayudaste a tu madre. Last month, you helped your mom. Okay. All right. Our next one, Maria y yo. Somebody already answered this one. Somebody else want to put an answer in about this one? How would we do this in the past tense? I already heard from Brooke. What do I do for this next one? I'm here. Very good. So, bailar, who remembers what does bailar mean? ¿Qué quiere decir bailar? To dance. So, Maria y yo, right? Maria y yo. Oops, we need this in English. Sorry. Maria and I, we danced, right? With our boyfriends. So we danced with our boyfriends, bailamos, because thank goodness for nosotros, it never changes. Okay. Okay. This last one is tricky. Do we know what's going to make it tricky? Can you all figure out what's going to make it tricky? What is going to make this last one tricky? What do we need to pay attention to? How is this verb different? I mean, these are supposed to all be AR verbs, right? How is this one different? What's tricky? Yes. So we have our AR, but we also have our reflexive pronoun. Remember those reflexive things that we do to ourselves? We brush our hair, we brush our teeth, we give ourselves a bath. Remember all of those, clase? Okay. So last night, you bathed yourself at 10 o'clock. You bathed yourself at 10 o'clock. So how do we do this one? How do we do this one? We have our AR and we have our reflexive pronoun. So give it a shot. What do we do? Remember when we were learning our reflexive pronouns, we had a song on a video where we have to rearrange some things. So how would we do that here? Arshad, are you thinking? Are you elsewhere? Joe, you want to give it a try? Brooke, what do you say? Arshad, I need you paying attention, please. You're close. You're very close. You're very close. You're very close. You're very close. Okay, good. All right, so let's look at it. So we would get rid of our AR, right? And our usted ending is singular, right? So our usted ending is going to be O with the accent mark. Okay. So my O is going to go here. And because now we've conjugated it, we've changed it, we're going to take our reflexive pronoun, you guys, and we're going to move it to the front. So, anoche, usted se bañó a las 10. So we conjugate it exactly like it's supposed to be, right? The usted gets the O with the accent mark. You guys got that. But we have to remember that then our reflexive pronoun has to go in front of the verb. Okay, in front of the verb, because you're going to see examples of that, and we need to know what to do with them. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? Yes, 2 words though. You have a space here because it's 2 different words. So you have a space here, right? So let's play with this for 1 second. I want to run something else by you. All right, so this is our sentence, right? But let's pretend, Jamarian, follow along with me, that this is a question. All right, Arshad, I'm going to make this a question. So remember, this is formal. This is saying you, but I'm being formal, right? So if the question is, last night, did you bathe yourself, right? That's literal. Last night, did you bathe yourself at 10 o'clock? The person would respond with what in English? If somebody says, did you take a bath last night at 10 o'clock? We would say, yeah, I took a bath. I took a bath, right? So in Spanish, if we're going to respond to this, last night, did you bathe yourself at 10 o'clock? Then the person answering would say yes or no. Let's just say yes. Yes, I bathed myself. Think about it a minute. I bathed myself. Okay, Brooke? So if it's I bathed myself, right? Then, come on, you guys, I need you listening. It's going to become yo, isn't that right? I'll put a yes in here. See, yo. Okay, and now, how is bañar going to be spelled in the past tense? How is bañar going to be spelled in the past tense to go with yo? Well, that's what baño was for usted. But if I need to make it, if I'm answering the question, I'm saying I, what's my yo ending? Look on your sticky note. What's on your yo ending? Brooke, what's on your yo ending on your sticky note? There you go. Thank you. It would be E with the accent mark. Okay. So I'm going to put in bañé, right? Which I can't really do that on my keyboard. But what about this? What about my reflexive pronoun? Oopsie. What about my reflexive pronoun? Okay, I got to have that say is going to change. How do we do it? How do we do it? If I'm talking about myself, you guys, we just saw it this morning. See? Yo me bañé a las 10. Okay, that reflexive pronoun me, because I'm talking about myself. Do y'all remember that? Me, te, se. Yeah, nos and se. Those were our reflexive pronouns. So remember that the whole thing has to change depending upon who's talking. Yeah. Okay. Preguntas, questions. It's time, you guys. It's time that we start taking everything we've practiced and it's all going to start coming together. Okay. So we need to ask questions. We need to practice. We need to pay attention. as tedious and minutia ridden as it is, we still need to pay attention. Okay. Okay. Let's see, what is that? We'll do some of those next week, I think. Okay, how much time do we have? I mean, next, whatever day, Thursday. Okay. So we have about 6 minutes. So a couple of things, okay. Our schedule is different this week. You want to make sure that you check it on Canvas. I'm trying to get to my computer. It won't let me escape. And what that means for us specifically is that your Wednesday schedule is different. So take a look at my screen, you guys. Okay, so on Wednesday, instead of having shorter periods and everybody, okay, it's just going to be like a regular odd day on Wednesday. Okay, it's just going to be a repeat. It'd be like a Thursday. Everybody with me here? Yes or no? Yes. So on Wednesday, we'll have another full day. Okay. Now, having said that, there are a couple of us who still need to turn some work in. I would encourage you, because you can see that we're getting into the weeds, right? We're getting into the part of Spanish where everything has to come together. So we want to make sure that we've done all of our practices so that we have that practice under our belt. Okay. Let's not, we're going to have to try and keep up a little bit, right? So that we're not totally lost, because one thing builds on the other. Okay. Just like in this case, we needed to know what our regular AR verbs were in order to make the connection with this. Okay. Or we needed to know what the reflexive pronouns were, right? So that we could make those connections, okay, and complete the examples. Okay. I'm going to put my screen back up. We have about 5 minutes. Now listen, we didn't have any guided notes this section. All we had was the sticky that you were supposed to create, okay? I did put a past tense practice sheet in here, but it's not due until the 16th. If you think you want to try it between now and Thursday, that's cool. Your resource is in, you have your sticky note, and then your resource is also in the resource library. And you can knock that out, no problem. And then on Thursday, what we'll do is we'll review again. We'll do some more practices. I have a GIM kit, stuff like that. So that will be for, what did I say, Thursday? I meant to say Wednesday, right? So if you guys want to kind of work ahead of the game, you can work on this and have it done by Wednesday. That would give you the practice. Or you can work on some thing that you're missing still that you really should get done. Okay. All right. Any questions? So we have about 4 minutes. If you don't remember what you still owe in terms of homework, you can check it out now. As far as this, it's just a regular old practice sheet with all regular AR verbs, right? So you can try that, like I said, and you'll have that practice in for Wednesday and you'll be good to go. Okay. So I just want to fill you in on something too, right? Brooke, you might get a kick out of this. Teachers, when we have to work out of a textbook, okay, Jamarian, you with me here? There's this thing that is provided, it's called a pacing guide. And the pacing guide is supposed to tell us, you guys, how long we should spend on a particular concept. Okay. What I find interesting is that, for example, the pacing guide for this particular curriculum gives us, you ready for this? A half an hour. It expects us to master this preterite tense in a half an hour, right? So since our classes are like 70 minutes, the idea would be that we only spend one day on this, essentially half a class period, and then you guys do a practice. And then like on Wednesday, we would be on to something else. And that's the pacing guide, right, you guys? So, which I find to be unreasonable. I personally think that that's unreasonable. So take it for what it's worth. Be thankful, I guess, that we're not going to spend just a half an hour on it and expect you to have mastered it. Okay. All right, you guys have a great rest of your day. Reach out if you have a question. Okay, good job with the struggles today. All right, I appreciate you. Have a great one. Adios a todos. Have a great day.